So you've just written a very chunky report on UK energy security. Why did you decide to look into that in a deep dive kind of way?
Actually, it was a follow-up to a report I'd written as Shadow Defence Secretary back in 2006-07. At the time, it was called Over a Barrel, and it said unless we get an energy security policy that looks at diversity of supply, sooner or later, geopolitics will catch up with us. We did the second one because we wanted to add in the debate about decarbonisation. And one of the things that for me was most important was to try to get away from the debate just about electricity generation. And we keep on talking about 52% of our electricity generations from renewables. That's great. But only 19% of our energy usage is electricity. It's 44% oil for transport and industry and 31% gas. And as long as we're going to use fossil fuels, we've got to be much more circumspect about where we get them.
And you mentioned that your report, your first report was called Over a Barrel. Is Over a Barrel where we are now?
Yes. And I don't think that was unpredictable either. I think it's come late to many politicians that we got ourselves into this position. When we wrote the most recent one, we were very critical of Germany and Nord Stream 2, saying that it would make not just Germany more dependent on Russian gas, but through Germany, the European Union, and indirectly countries like the UK. And I think the key message from it all was global problems require global solutions. And one country going off in its own direction can indirectly harm even its friends and allies.
So diesel is now at £2 at some petrol stations. Unleaded is heading that way as well. How bad do you think this is going to get? This is important to everybody here. It's a very tangible kind of sign of where things are going. How bad do you think these fuel prices are going to get at the pumps?
Well, you have a double hit here. We already had high fuel prices because of the pace of recovery from the pandemic was higher than expected. Supplies weren't as high as they were expected, and you had a mismatch of supply and demand. So prices were already up there. Ukraine's caused another shock in that system. We've seen, of course, Brent crude and others come off the top in terms of price. That may now ease, particularly if we get any sort of peace agreement in Ukraine. But the shock's still there now in the system. I was listening, in fact, last night to Mervyn King, Lord King, who actually said that the increase in the prices that we're paying because of Ukraine and the knock-on effect was in effect an external tax being imposed on all of us because of our own response to Ukraine. And he's absolutely right. His view was that's something that we should be willing to bear because it's how we help contribute to the fall of the Putin regime. But nonetheless, that's caused a lot of hardship to families up and down the country.